Well, a very, very happy Friday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Glad you could join me. We got a lot to talk about with our Padres. We're going to definitely dive deep into the Padres after getting swept by the Baltimore Orioles. They go into Colorado, and they're 5-1 against the Rockies this year, but a little bit different Rockies team. They've been playing better, and they've got some star power on that team, believe it or not. They got three or four guys that are doing a pretty good job, but their pitching is a real problem. But you know what? So is the Padres right now. So we'll get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about college football, a little bit about the start of the NFL last night. Big ball game, great game, really. I thought between Dallas and Philadelphia. Philadelphia ended up hanging on 24-20. And we'll get you ready for the weekend in college football. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to remind you to please subscribe, please like, and please send in your comments. And we've also recently started, and if you haven't signed up, I'd very much appreciate it if you could help us with the channel. I very much appreciate a little support for the program. Our Gold Glove package, it costs $2.99 a month. $2.99 a month. And you can see it right there, San Diego Sports Talk. Join the channel, get access to membership perks. And again, just hit join, and that'll get you all ready to go. And very much appreciate any support that you can give the program. So thank you very much. Again, join the channel, just hit join, and $2.99 per month. Okay, we do have our regular guest coming up at 9:30, John Maffei from the Union Tribune. We'll get you set for a big night in high school football in San Diego. Third week of high school football. And I guess considering they always call the first week 0 week, we're in the second week, but a lot of teams are going to be playing their third game. So we'll get you wrapped up for a big Friday night. I saw John Maffei in the paper. He was 9-1 last week picking high school games. And we'll have them talk about some of the key games tonight around San Diego. Okay, Wednesday afternoon. My goodness gracious. It couldn't have started off worse for the Padres. Nestor Cortes. We're going to talk more about Nestor as we get deeper into the program. But Nestor Cortes' third pitch he threw to Jackson Holliday ended up being a souvenir in the right center field stands. And that was only the beginning. Cortes gave up back-to-back-to-back home runs in the third. Colton Cowser, a three-run bomb. Colby Mayo, Alex Jackson, a young man out of Rancho Bernardo High School, getting called up with the injury to Adley Rutschman, doing a pretty nice job behind the plate, hitting close to 240 and swinging the bat really pretty well. Got some power and was a big draft pick a number of years ago out of Rancho Bernardo, and he's bounced around, but good to see Alex having some success. Cortes lasted 2 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, all earned 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, gave up 4 home runs, and then it was a parade of the bullpen. Sean Reynolds overall, I thought, threw pretty well, 2 2/3, a hit, a run, 4 walks, though, 3 strikeouts. Kyle Hart, a shutout inning. Jeremiah Estrada, shutout inning. Mason Miller, an immaculate inning. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Robert Suarez, one perfect inning. And, you know, a thing that was frustrating, not only did they get swept by the Baltimore Orioles, and, you know what, this kid threw well, and I'm not going to knock him, but the kid that started for Baltimore, Cody Povich, 5 shutout innings, and then he ran out of gas. They tried to push the envelope, and he got banged around pretty good in the sixth inning. He finished going 5+, 5 batters in the sixth, 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a home run by Machado. They're down 7-0. Machado hits a home run. Tatis hit a home run later, you know, but the hay was already out of the barn. So Padres now at 76-64, and thank goodness, if you're a Padres fan, the Dodgers are just spitting the bit right now. They were awful in Pittsburgh, absolutely awful. They can't hit. They can't hit, and the pitching wasn't great, but the pitching was better than the hitting, and the defense has not been good for the Dodgers. Now, I saw Max Muncy started a rehab assignment last night with Oklahoma City. I expect Tommy Edman to be called up either today or tomorrow. I was told it'd be on the 6th, but man, the way the Dodgers are playing, they may want to get him up here a day early if he's ready. And I don't know, if one day is going to be that big. I would think they'd try to get him activated tonight. Now they're going to be playing Baltimore at Camden Yards, and the Padres are going to be playing Colorado for 3 games at Coors Field. And anything can happen at Coors Field. It's been the house of horrors for the Padres for many years. Even when the Rockies are not good, they find a way to win some games. They win in walk-off fashion. They've done it for years against the Padres. And the Padres, man, they got to pick it up. I heard Mike Schultz talk about, frustration, disappointment. I got to do better. I think everybody's got to do better. I think Mike Schultz got to run his best guys out there day in and day out. If you want to play matchups, great. But I'd play my best lineup right now. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and tell you who I think he should play. But I'm going to tell you, I think Gavin Sheets and Ryan O'Hearn need to be in the lineup. And however you work that, you make it work. But he got to go on that given day. And by the way, and again, this is not an excuse. The starting pitching for the Padres has been dreadful. I mean, they're having a hard time going 4 innings, let alone going 5 innings right now. And now with Jason Adam out, very much going to tax that bullpen. They've got to be better. The starters have to find a way to go deeper in ball games. They got Nick Pivetta going tonight against left-hander Kyle Freeland. In fact, the Padres and Rockies, the pitching matchups this weekend are all over the board. I know tonight Pivetta's throwing, and I'm going to give you his numbers at Coors Field. They're not good in his career. Never won a game there, first of all. And then I don't know who the Padres are pitching tomorrow. It could be a bullpen game. And then Dylan Cease going to pitch on Sunday. Colorado's going with Kyle Freeland tonight, and he wasn't supposed to pitch, but until maybe deeper into the series. But he's going tonight because he only threw 8 pitches on Saturday or on Tuesday night when he got ejected after giving up that home run to Rafael Devers. And, everything broke out and the bench was emptied and Matt Chapman got a 1-game suspension that he's appealing. I thought it was funny. Chapman got suspended. He appealed and he was able to play the next day and he hit 2 home runs against the Rockies. It's been that kind of year for the Rockies. But tonight is going to be Pivetta. Pivetta's pitched 14 innings in his career at Coors Field. I think he's 0-4, but 14 innings, giving up 27 earned runs in 14 innings. And 5 home runs? I mean, the numbers are like sickening. And he didn't pitch there well early in the year. So going against Kyle Freeland, who's like 3-14. So it could be a slugfest tonight. Who knows? But Pivetta has by far and away been the Padres' best pitcher this year. I'm looking at the Padre offense from Wednesday. Elias Diaz had a couple of hits. Tatis went 1 for 5, his 19th homer. Game was over. Rise 1 for 5, Manny 1 for 4, the 2-run homer. Got 81 RBIs, 22 home runs. O'Hearn had a hit. Ramon Laureano, a couple of hits and a walk. He was on 4 times the other day and also made a great catch. Robin Colton Cowser, a home run in left field. Jackson Merrill, so far 0 for 7 since coming back. Cronenworth 1 for 4, had a little swerve infield base hit that drove in a run. Iglesias had a double, his 10th of the year. And that was about the Padre offense. I mean, they scored late. Okay, they scored late. The game was over. They were down 7-0. You can say they had a great comeback, but let's face it, Baltimore's relief pitching is not very good. And they got to Cody Povich in the 6th inning when the guy was tired. I mean, the guy, ERA, even the other day went up. His ERA was at 5.03, and he came, even though he pitched 5 shutout innings, they left him in and he got banged around in that 6th. His ERA went up to 5.16. And so, it's the way it goes. Padres scuffling big time right now. And you know what? The only way they're going to get out of it is go out and play a good, solid baseball game. They're playing very lethargic, not a lot of pep in their step. The manager looks like a deer in headlights right now. He has no answers. The pitching coach is making numerous trips to the mound. He's getting his steps in every day. Right now, this team, I don't know what to tell you. Jackson Merrill, he keeps hitting the ground balls to second base. Tatis every once in a while does something dynamic. Manny not playing great. Bogarts 1-5. Again, 1-5 without Xander Bogarts. Maybe Xander was more important to this team than we thought. Um, but it is what it is. But the one bright spot on Wednesday was Mason Miller. He pitched the second immaculate inning in Padres history. He retired the Orioles 2-3-4 hitters, Jeremiah Jackson, Ryan Mountcastle, and Emmanuel Rivera on 9 pitches. All sliders, believe it or not. And the only other pitcher to do that was a good guy, man. He still lives in the San Diego area, Brian Lawrence. And what's amazing, he actually did it against the Baltimore Orioles. He did it back on June 12th, 2002. He took down Brooke Fordyce, Jerry Hairston Jr., who does a great job in the pre and post game Dodger TV pregame and post game shows, and Melvin Mora. And last time Baltimore was a victim of an immaculate inning was 2022. You know who threw it? The Yankees' Nestor Cortes. How about that for some reporting right there, huh? The last time they had an immaculate inning thrown against him was Nestor Cortes in 2022 when he was pitching for the Yankees. Boy, Nestor could have used an immaculate inning the other day. Now let's talk about Nestor Cortes. And you know what? There were a lot of boos the other day at Petco Park. And I'm not a guy that's into booing players unless they don't hustle. And then, I'll boo them. But if you're a paying customer and you're booing for lack of effort, I get it. But it's hard to play good baseball day in and day out. It's very hard. And we're seeing that with some really good teams right now. They're going through tough stretches. I mean, a lot of teams, man, that are good, they're having a hard time sustaining win streaks right now. But Nestor Cortes, I thought, I mean, his start today was so miserable. 4 home runs. Third pitch, boom, out of the ballpark. Third inning, he gives up a 3-run bomb and then back-to-back home runs after that. 3 homers in a row. Amazing. He said afterwards, he goes, you know what? He was asked about the boos. He goes, hey, the way I pitched, I would have booed myself. So, I thought that was some nice levity from Nestor Cortes. Now, what do you do with Nestor Cortes? Do you run him out there again? Or do you kind of have him work on some stuff? Now, remember, this guy, he pitched twice this year early in the year for Milwaukee. And he had a flexor tendon. How is he feeling? Because his numbers are not good. Not good at all. 6 starts with the Padres now. 1-3 and a 5.47 ERA. Check this out. 26 and a third innings. 29 hits, 16 earned runs. But the numbers get even worse. He's walked 13 in 26 and a third inning. He's walking almost one batter every other inning. But then throw in 2 hit batsmen. Okay, he's only got 21 strikeouts in 26 innings. Fastball's getting hit all over the yard. So far, hitters are batting .282 against him in a Padre uniform. He's got a 1.59 whip, over 1.5 base runners per inning, and he's given up 8 home runs. And then I went back yesterday, because I love doing research. I went back and looked at what he did in Milwaukee. Now, again, he only pitched 8 innings for Milwaukee before he went on the IL with that flexor tendon. He was 1-1 with a 9 ERA. Giving up 8 earned runs in that time with Milwaukee, 5 home runs. He's been giving up the home run ball. It's crazy. He has pitched 34 and a third innings this year and given up 13 home runs. My question to you, what do you do with him? Can you put him back out on the mound in a pennant race right now? What are your options? Where's Randy Vasquez? Can Randy Vasquez come back? He pitched and did a good job for the Padres this year. Where is he? Well, I know he's in El Paso, but could he make a start tomorrow? I think you got to go back to Randy Vasquez. I mean, these other guys not working. I mean, you want to go a bullpen game? Now you're down a guy like Jason Adam. You go a bullpen game. I don't know what to say about the Padres, right? It's a complete and utter disappointment. And, I don't know what the manager's doing. I don't know what the vibe is. It doesn't look like anybody's having a whole lot of fun. And when you're getting beat, you're not having fun. But this is where the leaders of the ball club have to step up and get the job done. And I talked about the other day. I don't think Fernando Tatis is a leader. I think he's a very, very good player. I think Manny's supposed to be the leader. He's struggling, man. Manny not having a good 5 or 6 weeks at all. I mean, when you add up his numbers, he's had a nice year, but he hadn't done a whole lot in the last 6 weeks. He really hasn't. And, you got to get him going. And, you got to get Arise going again. Arise had a pretty good series overall. I think he ended up with 5 hits in the 3 games against Baltimore. But it is what it is. That's all I can tell you. Hey, I wanted to mention the new guys because I think all of you, and we're going to get out to your questions here in just a minute. We got John Maffei coming up here about 9:30. Ramon Laureano, Freddie Fermin, Ryan O'Hearn. What a blessing. These guys have played great baseball. And again, I salute the president of baseball operations, general manager A.J. Preller. He has given the Padres every possible opportunity to do something dynamic here. And I don't know if I'm more frustrated right now, and I want your opinion. I don't know if I'm more frustrated about the way the team is playing or because we're right there against the Dodgers and the Dodgers are spitting the bit and we can't catch them. I guess it's probably a combination of both. But this is tantalizing. The Dodgers are handing us the division. Since July 1st, my birthday, the Dodgers have played under 500 baseball. You would have to go back about a decade to say that. And we still can't catch them. That's frustrating to me. But A.J. Preller has done everything humanly possible. Bringing in Mason Miller, bringing in Laureano, bringing in a frontline catcher in Freddie Fermin, going and get the designated hitter for the All-Star team in the American League, Ryan O'Hearn. What more could AJ do to help Mike Shilton, this ball club? And then you go and get one of the top relief pitchers in all of baseball, Mason Miller. I know you lose Jason Adam, but you've got enough out there to overcome that. You really do. But this is where a guy's got to step up. And this is where ball clubs have got to come together and galvanize and play great baseball and be in every pitch. I mean, I watch the body language of the Padre Ball Club right now. And not with everybody, but with some of them, they look like they've got a defeatist attitude. They're feeling sorry for themselves. You can't do that. But I wanted to highlight these 3 guys that have come in and I think done a great job. I mean, Ramon Laureano in 31 games, the guy's hitting 322 in a Padre uniform with a 950 OPS, got 7 homers and 24 RBIs. I mean, the guy is playing out of his mind. He's played a good left field. He had to fill in for Jackson Merrill out there in center field. I think he's done a very good job in center field. That's where he came up with Oakland many years ago as a center fielder at 31 years of age. Still covers quite a bit of ground. They're probably better suited to play the corners now. But you can't argue with what he's doing. Ryan O'Hearn, his average hasn't been great. He was hitting about 282 when the trade was made. In a Padre uniform, he's hitting 258, but he's got 3 homers, 11 RBIs. Doing a nice job. And then Freddie Fermin, 24 games, hitting 257, a homer, 7 RBIs. But the thing you got to remember about Fermin, and everyone knows that I was excited about getting this guy. And I'm still excited. I think he's doing a hell of a job. Behind the plate, he's been fantastic. I mean, he has done a great job behind the plate. And he's had some key bunts, some sacrifices, a safety squeeze, at least one that I can count of. And but done a great job of handling pitchers, And you got to remember something with Freddie Fermin. He's 30 years old. And he's played behind a Hall of Famer in his career, Salvador Perez. And this is the first time that Freddie Fermin is catching really on a regular basis. So he's going through an adjustment period, but the Padres have him under contract for a few more years. And he's going to be the Padre catcher. And they'll bring somebody else in. I don't think they'll bring Elias Diaz back next year. They'll bring somebody else in. And oh, maybe, uh, just so you know, a little under the radar move. And again, hats off to AJ Preller and to the front office. Uh, Hope we don't need them, but it's nice to have them. Martin Maldonado signed a minor league contract, and he'll continue to work out. Probably spend some time in Arizona, and if a foul tip and Fermin or Diaz go down, you got a guy that knows the staff. Not going to give you much offense, but hey, it's a nice guy to have. Waiting in the wings if somebody goes down, you can plug in a guy that's very connected with the staff and the pitching coach and the manager. So I thought I didn't really see that reported at all, but I know that's what happened. But anyways, the new guys are faring very well. Again, man, Laureano hitting 322 with 7 dingers and 24 RBIs. That's off the chart. Let's take a look at the National League standings. Then I want to get out and get to Coach's Crew, get some questions in this morning. And then we got John Maffei coming up here in about 10 minutes. A little bit later on in the program, we're going to talk college football, and we're going to talk about the start of the NFL season last night. And we got a game tonight on YouTube. I'll tell you more about that. But let's take a look at the National League standings. We'll do both the American and National League on Monday, but I want to get to the National League today. That's what most of you are concerned about. Philadelphia, I think, in very, very good shape to take down the Mets. 6-game lead right now, 81 wins, 81-59, having a real good, solid year. Milwaukee, only a 5.5-game lead, but you know what? Time is running out. Milwaukee, 86 wins, best record right now in the National League, best record in baseball right now, if I'm not mistaken. And then you take a look at the Dodgers, a 2-game lead over the Padres. And again, the Dodgers do have the tiebreaker. How about the San Francisco Giants? They're trying to get back in it, but they're 5 games back of the Padres. So the Giants at 71-69. That'd be huge if the Giants could finish over 500 this year. Okay, let's take a look at the wild card. Then we're going to get to your questions. Okay, wild card. Cubbies, 80-60, in good shape. Padres, 76-64, a game lead on the Metropolitans. And then you're seeing the Giants right there. The Giants, and then you got Cincinnati. Now remember, Cincinnati comes to town Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they're trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. And depending on what happens this weekend, that series is going to be huge. It's going to be huge either way for either the wild card or the Padres continuing to, try to track down the Dodgers. Dodgers, man, they got some real issues right now, real issues. And, I keep saying the Dodgers have been waiting till October 1st. Well, they may get to October 1st, but they may be the second team in the National League West. But, man, the Padres, they got to pick it up. How frustrating is it right now to be a Padres fan? And this is your big opportunity. First time in years and years and years where you could overtake the Dodgers. It's right there for the taking, and you can't win a stinking ball game in your home ballpark against the Baltimore Orioles. Wow, that is frustrating. I saw Paul Skeens go against Blake Snell last night. Blake Snell got the loss, gave up 5 runs. But I got to tell you, some of those hits, the ball was bouncing the Pirates' way last night, and Paul Skeens threw 6 shutout innings. He didn't have his great stuff last night, but he still threw 6 shutout innings. I would imagine with a winning record, now he actually got 10 wins. He's 10-9, ERA 1.97. I would imagine he will win the Cy Young in the National League. All right, let's get out to our Coach's Crew. We'll get to questions, and we got John Maffei coming up here in about 6 or 7 minutes. Okay, coming out of the gate, what do we got today? O2RR, happy Friday, Coach. If there's one positive for our Padres, it's that 19 of their final 22 games are against National League teams. For the record, Padres are 58-37 against National League teams. Yeah, and they've been miserable. What are they, 9 games now? I think 9 games under 500 against the American League. We only got 3 more games against an American League team, and it'll be in Chicago against the White Sox. I totally agree. I mean, that's amazing. They're 21 games over 500 against National League teams, yet they're way under 500 against American League teams. And the National League is a much tougher league right now. I think everybody would agree with that. Totally concur. But you know what? Um, got to take care of business, especially at home. You got to take care of business. One of the things that I marked on the calendar of the schedule, they've got the home games next week, 3 against Cincinnati, and then 4 against Colorado. Um, but then they go on the road. They got to go to Cincinnati, or not to Cincinnati, but to Citi Field and take on the Mets. That 3-game series at Citi Field is going to be critical, absolutely critical to where the Padres are going to end up. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, the first thing, got to go into Coors Field this weekend and take care of business. And I don't think they'll sweep the Rock. I'd be surprised if they swept the Rock. Rockies are playing pretty good baseball right now. They have 101 losses though. Okay, O2RR, have a great weekend. Big Sam Sanford, hi coach. What a miracle that we're still only 2 back in the division. Amen to that. The boys have to figure it out this weekend, at least 2/3, but realistically, it should be getting a sweep. Well, you're going in there with a sweep, but you can only sweep if you win game 1. I can tell you this: you win game 1 tonight, it takes a little bit of the pressure off. If you end up losing the first game in this series, it's an uphill battle all weekend because you're giving the Rockies a lot of confidence. And the one thing I would say, and I know football season's starting, and maybe Sunday there won't be a huge crowd at Coors Field, but I would imagine tonight and tomorrow people like coming to that ballpark. If you've never been to Coors Field, I've been there for over the years for about 4 games, and it's really a cool place. I like it. I think it's a really cool place. It doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that other ballparks, especially like Petco, has. But if you're a big baseball fan, it's spacious. You can move around. They got a great concourse, and I just like the ballpark. It's a lot of fun. But Sam, I agree. They got to get at least 2 out of 3. And again, the Dodgers right now, they only have to match the Padres. I mean, if they only win 1 out of 3, that's all ball. The Dodgers need to win 1 out of 3. They win 2 out of 3, and the Padres only go 1 out of 3. Then things are getting out of whack again. But the Dodgers basically just have to match whatever the Padres do and keep them at arm's length. Sam, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Chris, if we went 3-3 last homestand, would we be in first place? Uh, yes, we would. Would be a game up. Would be a game up on the boys, but didn't happen. Didn't happen, unfortunately. That's all I can tell you. Padres got to take care of business tonight. Big Nick Pivetta going in. His ERA is like 15 something in Coors Field. It's unbelievable. All righty, Rome. Yes, big opportunity to win the National League West this year. Virtually handed to San Diego. We know LA will reconfigure with dollars next season. It's interesting you bring that up, Rome. Andrew Friedman's an extremely competitive front office official, and so is Stan Kasten. I had the opportunity a couple years ago at the winter meetings to interview Stan Kasten. Of course, Stan Kasten was a big part of everything that went on in Atlanta for many, many years and been with the Dodgers now for a number of years. They're going to go back to the drawing board. Somebody asked me this morning, I was down at KUSI this morning, and somebody asked me about Roki Sasaki, who's not pitching well. He pitched the other night in AAA, and they asked me, "Do you think that guy's going to be a bust?" I go, "No, not going to be a bust. Dodgers will, the way the Dodgers work, they'll figure that guy. He'll get bigger, stronger. He's only 23 years of age. Missed a big chunk of the year with that shoulder impingement. Wasn't even supposed to come back and pitch. But this guy was successful in Japan. He's going to be successful here." And, you give him time, and they really were not expecting him to be one of their guys this year, and he won't be. He's not pitching well. He's trying to get his sea legs under him. I'm sure he'll have a big off season. I imagine this guy's going to come back bigger and stronger next year, but the Dodgers won't reconfigure. Dodgers in some areas are probably going to have to get younger. And we'll see what they do during the offseason. But right now, they're just trying to get guys back on the field healthy. Like I mentioned, Edman and Muncy down in Oklahoma City. I was told Edman would be activated on the 6th. The 6th is tomorrow. We'll see how that works out. But the Dodgers will regroup, but it's really frustrating for us Padre fans because I've been talking for years now about closing the gap. Closing the gap. Well, I don't necessarily think the Padres have closed the gap because they only won 4 out of 13 meetings this year. But the Dodgers have helped close the gap by playing under 500 baseball since July 1st. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. So it is what it is. All right, what else we got? We're going to get to John Maffei here momentarily. Julio, bottom line, Fermin trade killed us because Kolek and especially Bergert were doing great for us. Yeah, but would you rather have Martin Maldonado behind the plate and Elias Diaz a high percentage of the time? You know what? Bergert, nice pitcher. He got optioned out, I think, the other day. Kolek got optioned out, but, they've got options left. Kolek's 28 years of age. If anything, he's the back end of the rotation guy. Did a nice job in his time here, but he is what he is. Berger, kind of like him, a little bit younger. I liked him, but you know what? You needed to upgrade catching. And you know what? Fermin's done a great job. Not only that, you're going to have Fermin. You don't have to go out and spend free agent money, Julio, this offseason. You got your starting catcher now for the next 2 to 3 years. That's huge. This is huge. And you know what? Fermin's only going to get better now that he's getting used to how his body feels, having to play a lot more. He'll probably condition himself even better during this off season. I like this deal. Bergert and Kolek, hey, I wish them all the best. I have nothing bad to say about those guys. But you know what? I think there was also maybe one of the reasons they had to do that was to balance out salary. Padres, with all the moves they made, and I haven't talked to AJ about this, but through the grapevine, I'm sure that ownership didn't want to spend a lot of money. And I think what AJ did was a minor miracle, getting all these guys that are stars. I mean, Laureano's having a career year. Ryan O'Hearn, I keep talking about, he was having a great year with a bad ball club and was good enough to be the starting designated hitter in the All-Star game for the American League. And then you get Mason Miller and J.P. Sears, and J.P. Sears is the depth guy. And you had to give up, Leo DeVries. But there was also a balancing act, I think, that AJ had to perform here with the salaries. And I think, from what I understand, the Padres only took on about 1.5 million. That's not a whole lot for what they got in return. And they got some damn good players. Some damn good players. Okay, we're going to get to John Maffei. We'll get John Maffei up and running here. And always great to have John on. And boy, I'll tell you what, he had one heck of a week last week. He started out, I could tell last week, as Dauber was down a little bit, he only won 8-2. But man, in the second week of picking games, man, he was right there at 9-1 last week for John Maffei. And we've got that great picture of John Maffei once again. He's out and about this morning. Mr. Maffei, welcome to the program and congratulations on your great week 2 picks last week.
John, thank you. I proved the blind squirrel theory last week.
Yeah, no, you picked some big games last week, and talk a little bit about the game you were at last week at my alma mater. I couldn't be there. I had to be at a wedding. But the Torrey Pine San Pasquale game, Tony Corley hanging it up apparently after this year, going against Scott Ashby and the Falcons. Falcons ended up winning that game. What were your thoughts on both ball clubs?
Well, I thought Torrey Pines looked really good. They're more athletic. They do more things on offense than they've done before. San Pasquale, boy, I don't know. They're better. They couldn't get the ball to Marcus Rocha. They're a really good receiver, and that was partly because Torrey Pines did a nice job on them. I talked to Andrew Clark, their offensive coordinator, after the game, and he goes, please don't judge us on this game. We're better than this, and I believe him. I think they will be better. But last Friday, Torrey Pines did a number on them.
I wanted to ask you one game that you didn't pick for this week in the morning paper, and I was really kind of hoping you would, but I knew I had the opportunity, unlike a lot of other people. I get to ask you about it. It's Torrey Pines going on the road tonight to take on Rancho Bernardo. And I saw this game a year ago. Torrey Pines won at Torrey Pines on a field goal, 3-0. Your thoughts on this game? Because I think this is going to be one of the better games around tonight.
It will be. It's gonna be an interesting game. One of the reasons I didn't pick this game was because I had Torrey Pines picked last week, so I don't like to have the same teams 2 weeks in a row. I try to spread it around, but I think Rancho Bernardo, they're very good. They don't have all their baseball guys yet. They have 4 or 5 baseball players who are still involved in some winter baseball tournaments, and they'll get them back in the next week or two. I talked to one of our reporters out in the desert, and he saw Rancho Bernardo against Brawley last week, and he said he did not, from his opinion, did not think Rancho Bernardo was a top 10 team. So kind of interesting, to get some feedback from some people that you know and trust.
All right, let's jump around a little bit. I want to start with number 7, San Marcos, going on the road to take on number 8, Poway. Everybody tells me Poway is going to be very, very good this year. They're off to a great start. San Marcos had that tough loss opening week to Mount Miguel at home, 28-27. But everybody I talk to thinks San Marcos is going to have a fantastic year. In Poway, they've been slowly building their program. Everybody seems to think they're going to have a great year.
Yes, I mean this is a really good game. I like the San Marcos Creep Macahele. That first week against Mount Miguel had a really bad game. He threw 3 interceptions. Two of them not his fault really. One of them he underthrew a wide open receiver deep, and the ball got picked. He bounced back last week, had a great week. Poway, the new quarterback, is kind of the old quarterback. He's a transfer. He was a Poway kid who the family moved to Texas, and he moved back to Poway for his senior year, and he appears to be what they really need. Luke Jorgensen, their running back, is as good, maybe not as good, but as solid a running back as there is in the county. And I think this is going to be a barn burner tonight. I picked San Marcos, by 4, but this one could go either way.
Yeah, let's go down to the South Bay. Let's talk a little bit about East Lake. They're going to be hosting Olympian. Olympian coming off a nice win a week ago. They're 2-0. East Lake 1-1. And for a number of years, John, East Lake was the power in the South Bay. And the last few years, it's just not gone that way. Are they slowly rebuilding? What's going on with that program? And who do you like tonight between them and Olympian?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think the South Bay, yes, East Lake used to be the magnet. The kids wanted to go there. They had, a few years ago, they had some coaching turnovers, and now the talent in the South Bay has kind of spread out, and I think it's going to get even more so as the years go on. With all the schools now in the South Bay are going to have turf fields. The schools west of the 5 now are all under getting new fields. They're playing on neutral sites this year, but so that's going to be a draw. Modern Day Catholic is gonna bounce back, and that's the private school right in the Otay, Olympian, East Lake area. And if they start bouncing back, it's gonna drain some talent off of there. And right now it's Olympians' game to win. I think they're the favorite in that game against East Lake. And I could be wrong, but I like Olympian in that one.
All righty, let's take a look at the St. Augustine 0-2 at Helix 0-2, and I look at both of those teams and I guess I just kind of shake my head. What is going on with these programs?
Well, exactly. Helix. Everybody thought they were going to bounce back this year and have a good year. So far, hasn't happened. They they are very talented at quarterback. With Lester Norman and uh, and Saints with Vincent Smith, the big left-hander who's committed to USD. They've got a chance. They are and Pia Palomolo is as good a player as there is in the county, and I applaud him for staying there after all the transfers a couple of years ago. Pia wanted to stay. He's basically a basketball player who I don't know if he has any idea if he knows how good he is in football, but he's a basketball player, and I've seen him play basketball. He's good, but as a football player, he's really good. So it'd be interesting to see what he does. And this is a big game for both those teams. You don't want to start the season 0-3. So I think that's going to be a great one.
I think another interesting matchup tonight will be Del Norte 1-1 at number 5 La Costa Canyon 2-0. And I'll tell you, the kid that plays quarterback at La Costa Canyon, Quinn Roth, I don't know who's recruiting him, but I'll tell you what, this guy, I saw him as a sophomore when he was the signal caller tonight. They beat Mission Hills, a good Mission Hills team. And I've been following that kid ever since. And to be honest with you, I thought he was a senior last year. I couldn't believe he was coming back again this year. He's a really talented guy, and I think La Costa Canyon under head coach Sean Sovacool, he got maybe the best team he's ever had up there.
Oh, no question. They were 10-0 last year before they lost to Cathedral in the Open Division playoffs, and now they're off to a 2-0 start this year, and went down and really took it to Mount Miguel last week. That he pulled his starters one series into the third quarter and played 65 players in that game. That shows you the depth of that program. They have 230 kids in a school of 1,700 involved in football at La Costa Canyon. They've got it going. Quinn Roth, if Quinn Roth was 6'3", he'd be a national quarterback. And Sean Sovacool, the coach, Sean's just really upset that he goes, people don't see it. This kid has got it. And they're do everything back. Kobe Herman is as good an all around player as there is in the county. So I think Del Norte had a great summer. Got stunned the first week, bounced back last week with a nice win, but they've got their hands full tonight.
Going back to Quinn Roth, the quarterback at La Costa Canyon, I heard that I think it was the quarterback coach or offensive coordinator. He actually was at La Costa Canyon, watched him throw, and really liked the way he threw. Just was a little concerned about his weight and size right now.
Yes, and as you well know, being a recruiter, you got to pass the eyeball test,
right?
And it's tough to go back to your boss and go, hey, I've got a 6-foot quarterback at La Costa Canyon who's as good as anybody in the country, but he's 6 foot, and there's a 6'3" kid in Texas or Arizona, and the head coach is going to go, let's go with the guy who passes the eyeball test.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. Let's jump around to another game. Number 6 Carlsbad 2-0, going over to Herb Meyer Stadium. Number 10 El Camino 1-1, 7:15 tonight. Your thoughts on this matchup? I would think Carlsbad is definitely the favorite, but hey, El Camino every once in a while, man, they can jump up and bite you.
John, you couldn't be more right on that one. El Camino playing at home where they're tough, and they they have a really good quarterback in Gavin Wasserman. He's off to a nice start. They got beat up pretty good last week going on the road playing a team from the southern section. They were a little overmatched. I like Carlsbad in this one, but I agree with you. If El Camino can hang in there, get some short fields, line up in their Rambo formation where they jam it down your throat, this one could be closer than people think.
Hey, one last game I wanted to ask you about, kind of the Battle of La Jolla tonight. La Jolla High taking on La Jolla Country Day. And, I saw La Jolla week 1 against Torrey Pines, and Torrey Pines handled them 43-19, but they had a nice win last week. And La Jolla Country Day last few years have kind of stepped up in competition. I mean, years ago, Rashawn Salam, he played 8-man football. It's a totally different program now. Who do you like tonight?
I like La Jolla because of their athleticism, but again, this is kind of like the El Camino game. This is La Jolla at La Jolla Country Day, and La Jolla Country Day defends their turf. It's a great setting over there. If people have never been to Country Day, and maybe along with Santa Fe Christian, the best burgers in the county at Country Day. That's how I judge my games. But Carson Deal had a game last week for La Jolla, scored 5 touchdowns, rushing, receiving, on returns, interceptions. He did everything, and I don't know if Country Day has an answer for that for him. I think La Jolla gets him pretty good, but Country Day is well coached, and they'll give him a game.
I saw Carson Deal, and I shared with you after I saw him catch 11 passes, 161 yards against Torrey. He had a 69-yard touchdown, and not only did he have the 5 touchdowns last week, he did it all, as you mentioned, all these variety of ways. I heard he even played a little quarterback last week.
He played quarterback because their quarterback was banged up. He should be ready to go this week, but and that's the coaches at La Jolla just going, hey, let's put the ball in the hands of our best player. And where do we do that? Let's play him at quarterback.
Yeah, he's a very nice player, and he's already verbally committed to the Aztecs. I'm sure if he hangs with that commitment, he'll sign in the December signing period. John, the last thing, where are you headed tonight? What game are you going to?
I'm at La Costa Canyon tonight. I want to see them before it gets too late. And then next week is the showdown at Granite Hills at Mission Hills, which is going to be a great one. So I wanted to see La Costa Canyon before we got too deep into the season.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, as always, thanks for the time, and have a great weekend and enjoy the game tonight.
Great. Thank you, John. Thanks.
There you go. John Maffei from the Union Tribune giving us a little high school football breakdown. I think a high percentage of you fans always appreciate that. Got to keep you in the know on what's going on around there. Okay, this weekend, college football. I'm kind of fired up, folks. I'm going to the Coliseum tomorrow. I'm going with my son-in-law. We're going up and seeing Georgia Southern. Doesn't really. I just want to see the Trojans come out of the tunnel. I want to go to the Coliseum. And USC blasted Missouri State last week, 73-13. Georgia Southern, they lost up at Fresno State, 42-14. Former Trojan head coach Clay Helton, the head coach at Georgia Southern. Trojans are 28.5-point favorites. But you know what? I want to see the Trojans come out of the tunnel. I've been following them since the OJ era. I was a little kid. And the reason I followed them was my brother played with a guy named Bill Juronsik. I played with him in high school at San Diego, played with him at Palomar, and Bill Juronsik went to USC, played in 2 Rose Bowls, was there the 2 years OJ was there. He played against Purdue and Bob Greasy, got beat, and then the following year they came back and beat Indiana. And my dad played with John McKay at the University of Oregon for a year. So I've been following the Trojans forever in football. So I'm looking forward to going up there tomorrow and seeing the Trojans come out of the tunnel and hear the fight song and all the pregame stuff around the Coliseum. So it'll be a lot of fun. I've been up there many, many, many years. So I'm looking forward to that. And then tomorrow night, a little bit later on, Allegiant Stadium over in Vegas, UCLA, who got blitzed last week at the Rose Bowl by Kyle Whittingham's Utah Utes 43-10. They're going to take on UNLV. Right now, UCLA a 2.5 point favorite. Rebels are 2-0. Come from behind win at home over Idaho State 38-31, and then one on the road last week at Sam Houston State 38-21. Uh, Bruins got to get it going. They got to get it going. That football program really struggling. And then tomorrow night, Martin Stadium, Pullman, Washington. I think this is a great opportunity, folks. I think the Aztecs can beat Washington State. I really do. Washington State won last Saturday night at home against Idaho, 13-10. Their kicker kicked a 32-yard field goal with 3 seconds to go. And I thought it was interesting. There was a little pushing and shoving after the game. The two head coaches were barking at one another. But I think the Aztecs will go up there and win. They got to believe they can go in there and win. This would be huge for the program. Get off to a 2-0 start. Then you have a bye week getting ready for Cal. And then you got to go on the road to Eastern Illinois before you open conference play. I mean, this would really, I think, energize everybody. The football program, the athletic department, but more importantly, I think it would enthuse the fan base of San Diego State. I memean, this is a very winnable game. Washington State lost a lot of players. It brought in a lot of players. Great opportunity for the Aztecs to go to 2-0 with a win on the road at the Palouse. It'll be crazy. All the frat rats, and they'll be lathered up. 7:15 game. It's going to be on the CW, and we'll see what that brings. Now, let's talk a little bit about NFL. Now, tonight, we got the Chargers sacrificing a home game. They're still going to have 8 games at home. They'll end up with a neutral site game in Sao Paulo, Brazil tonight against Kansas City, and then they'll have 8 road games and 8 home games. Would have been a 9th home game, but anyways, it is what it is. Kansas City will win the football game. I think it's going to be a great game. I think the Chiefs win late. I think the Chargers actually could be pretty good this year, but they'll find a way to foul it up more than anything else. And losing Rashawn Slater, that big left tackle, is going to hurt. Somewhere along the line, that is going to come back and rear its ugly head. Now, Alt, who they moved over there, he's a pretty good football player. And hopefully he can stay healthy. But again, it tears away at the depth of your line. We'll see what Justin Herbert can get done. We'll see what Jim Harbaugh can get done in his second year. Andy Reid runs one of the more difficult and more physical NFL training camps. And in a day where everybody's backing off, Andy Reid still got a little old school when it comes to training camp. His team will be ready to go. And they want to get back to yet another Super Bowl after getting beat by the Eagles. I think they've had a really good offseason. I think Patrick Mahomes is in pretty good shape right now. And I think Kelsey got in pretty good shape. I don't know if you've seen it. To me, he may not run as well, but the guy's getting up there in years. I would think this would be his last year. But it looks like he's in pretty good shape. Last year, I didn't think he was in good shape. He kind of played his way into shape. But I think this year, knowing that this could be his last year, I think you're going to see Kelsey perform very well, better early in the year than he did a year ago. Also, last night, I thought it was a pretty good football game. Dallas gave Philadelphia all they could handle. If CD Lamb catches one pass in particular, the one on the 4th down late, that would have been a fantastic catch. The other catch in traffic, I thought he should have made. If he'd have made that diving catch at the end, it would have been fantastic. He still had 110 yards receiving. Good game, 24-20. The world champs, Philadelphia, hangs on. Jalen Hurts had a great game throwing and had a great game running it. But what Jalen Carter did prior to the first offensive snap, spitting on quarterback of Dallas, Dak Prescott, there's no room for that at any level of football, any level of sports, any level. I don't care what a guy says to you. You don't spit on somebody. And, if he ends up getting suspended for another game, I have no problem with it. I think he ought to get the way they fine guys for hits, they ought to give him about a $50,000 fine for what he did last night. That is despicable. Spitting on another human being. I've got no time for that whatsoever. I don't know who he thinks he is or how he was going to get away from that. The guy can't be the sharpest tool in the shed. I mean, I'd rather see him punch the quarterback than do what he did last night. Either way, you're going to get ejected from the football game, but that was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I know that uh, Prescott spit prior to that on the ground. Big difference spitting on the ground. It happens all the time. I watched Kershaw last night. He was chewing bubble gum and beating the heck out of that bubble gum and spitting constantly. That's one thing spitting on the ground. You don't spit at another player, let alone, he didn't spit in his face, but he spit on his uniform. Come on. It's not like Jalen Carter's a rookie. He's a third year. He's an all pro, first team all pro. I mean, grow up. And then to watch him walk off the field with a smile on his face, what are you smiling about? And, I was thinking about Nick Sirianni last night, the head coach. Remember they had the delay in the third quarter for Lightning? And I'm sure Carter was in there and probably, already showered and, doing whatever he was doing. And I was thinking, if I was a head coach, would I approach Carter then or would I wait till after the game? And I definitely would have waited till after the game because if I would have approached him or brought him into my office during that delay or went out and undressed him in front of his teammates, it would have caused a real stir with the ball club. But I'm sure Jalen Carter is going to get necessarily a tongue lashing, but he's going to get a talking to. And I don't care who you are or how good you are, you don't do that. It set a terrible example for young athletes that were watching last night. But you know what? A lot of guys learned something. In all the years that I played, coach, I never, ever in my right mind ever thought about spitting on another human being. I mean, I punched guys in the ribs in basketball after they hit me with an elbow, would go up for a rebound, and I'd get my hand in and punch a guy in the rib cage. I'd tag a guy at first base hard on the flap of his helmet, knock the flap down on his nose if he was being a problem. I mean, there's little subtle ways that you can get to guys, but to spit on another human being, that's just not right. And I hope he gets suspended another game. And I hope he gets a $50,000 fine. There's no room for that in any walk of life, let alone in a football game. So I had to say that. But hey, you know what? Brian Schottenheimer's Dallas, they played a damn good game last night. They played really well last night. Maybe Dallas will have a good year. I don't know. But I'm going to be watching the game tonight. YouTube TV. It's free. They're going to try to reel us in. They're going to try to reel us in on all this YouTube and Apple and I got an Apple account for baseball. There's a game on at 11:20 this morning I may turn on. But the streaming thing, I mean, you're going to be paying for this and that and 38 other things. I'm getting to the point where, man, how much can you spend? How much can you spend on this stuff? But anyways, it is what it is. Okay, we're going to get out of here, but I do want to get to a few questions. Let's roll a couple of questions. We got some questions from last time in Coach's Mailbag. All right, user, so frustrating with the losses that will take for them to get motivated. Unsure who's the team's guy to get them going. Well, I think one of the guys is Xander Bogaerts. He doesn't get a lot of credit for being a leader, but I think he's a tremendous guy. And 1-5 since he's been out of the lineup. Man, you're not doing squat. Man, you hit a home run the other day. You're down 7-0. Great. Beautiful. You hit a home run. Let's do something early when it matters. Same with Tatis. I mean, both those guys, just what are they doing? I mean, swing the bat. Let's play with some fire. There's no energy from this team. And I know when teams aren't hitting that you don't necessarily look like real energetic. You look very lethargic. But you know what? You got to go out and make something happen. You can't sit back and feel sorry for yourself. And I watch Machado and Tati. They feel sorry for themselves when they're not playing well. Do something about it. Do something about it. I'm seeing a lot of guys, Sheets, O'Hearn, Arise. Those guys are busting their rear end right now. For me, those guys are playing hard. Cronenworth, I got on Cronenworth a lot early in the year. Cronenworth had a hell of an August. He's playing his ass off right now. I know he made an error the other night, but that's going to happen. Tried to do a little bit too much. Couldn't. I got that ball in the web of his glove, went to reach for it. It wasn't there. Left it on the ground trying to make a play. Jackson Merrill's kind of been in a funk, feeling sorry for himself right now. He got to get it going this weekend. If you're ever going to get it going offensively, it's going to be this weekend against an awful pitching staff and a hitter-friendly ballpark. That's simple. So quit feeling sorry for yourself and let's get rolling. All right. What else we got here today? Superfan, ignoring no trade clauses. If you trade Tatis or Merrill, which one are you trading? I'd probably trade Tatis uh, because they're a lot of money. The Padres, these long-term contracts, and I know Merrill's got a long-term contract, but Merrill's also a center fielder. He's also a left-hand hitter. He's also a little bit younger. Tatis does have an injury history, even though he's been healthy this year. A lot of money on Tatis, and I think, by the way, he doesn't have to sign off on a trade for several years. Okay, I think 2029 is when he can, waive his no trade clause. But I'd probably trade Tatis. I still think there's some value there. Not that what there was, 3 years ago. And, I don't know if he'll ever hit 42 home runs again. I'm hoping he gets to 23 or 24 this year. But he'd probably be the guy that I would trade if I was going to trade a guy. But again, he didn't have to sign off for that for many years. And Padres are going to continue to pay him and Manny and Bogart. Those guys are getting older. I mean, I don't know if Manny's running out of gas this year or what, but man, he's not playing very well right now. Looks terrible at the plate, way off balance on the plate, striking out a lot. I mean, he struck out 29 times in the month of August, and hit in the low 200s. Had one homer, had like 8 RBIs in the entire month. The guy's playing every day. It's amazing to me. But Superfan, that's probably the direction I would go right now. I'm very disappointed in Fernando. I really am. I just don't know if we're ever going to see the Fernando the first 2 or 3 years of his big league career. I'm not seeing it right now. I'm just not seeing it. But Superfan, thank you very much. And let's get to Murphy. What is one move you wish the Padres made at the deadline now, looking back? You know what? They made almost every possible move they could make. They got a starting catcher. They got, two bats, and they got a relief pitcher. And they got a starting pitcher in J.P. Sears. But again, he came to San Diego with a 4.95 ERA, and he's pitched even worse in a Padre uniform in his 3 opportunities. You'd love to get a starting pitcher, but there wasn't anybody available. Again, I'm always looking for starting pitching, but you would hope that you could cobble something together. And we're just hoping Pivetta can go out and pitch well tonight at Coors Field, where it's been not good for him, giving up 27 runs in 14 innings and 5 homers in his career at Coors Field. So, Murphy, that's kind of where I'm at. I think AJ did just about all he could do with what he had to work with. And they didn't want to take on any more payroll. I think they took on about, with trying to balance some of those trades out with Oakland or with Sacramento, Las Vegas, or the A's, whatever you want to call them, and with Kansas City. I think they had to try to balance things out, not even throw in Baltimore as well, even though I think Baltimore is picking up some of the money on O'Hearn and Laureano. I don't know how AJ makes that happen. He did the same thing last year. He got Miami to pay the freight for Arise a year ago. He did. He's a wizard on that. He's a wizard. I wonder, they offered AJ a new contract yet? This guy has done everything possible to try to put the Padres in a great scenario to win. And are they waiting for this team to fail and not give AJ a contract? You know what? I know AJ early in his career had a lot of swings and misses, but I'm going to tell you right now, this will be what their 4th year out of 6 years going to the playoffs. That's a hell of an effort. That's a hell of an effort. Really good effort. So I'm anxious to see what they're going to do with AJ Preller. I don't know who's making the decision. I guess the Seidler brothers are making that decision. But I want to see AJ get a new contract. I think he's earned it, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel. Maybe we should talk about that on Monday's show. I don't care how the Padres finish. I really don't. He's not the guy managing the ball club. The manager's got some heat on him for the first time, really, in his Padres tenure. You got to get this thing turned around because AJ has given him everything. He's given him everything possible. They got one of the best bullpens in baseball, and that's even with Jason Adam going down. They've got, the starting pitching. King got hurt. Cease won't be back. But, he brought in King a year ago. Darvish has come back with mixed results. But again, you got good guys. They got to perform. And the everyday lineup, I mean, Machado's got to start swinging the bat. Tatis got to start swinging the bat. If Jackson Merrill's going to be in there, he got to swing the bat. All the new guys are doing the job. The old guys are stinking up the joint right now. They got to be better. And again, I mentioned Cronenworth. Cronenworth's playing good baseball right now. I got no complaints with Jake. Arise has got to be a little bit more consistent. But, he had 5 hits in the series against Baltimore. But the new guys are doing a hell of a job. The key guys, the 2 pillars of this organization, Machado and Tatis, have got to pick it up. That's what I think. But anyways, we'll talk more about that. Hey, want to remind everyone as we get out of here, have a great weekend. And again, I want to put up our Gold Glove package. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please subscribe. Please like. Please send in your comments. And if you want to support our channel, please be our Gold Glove member. You just bring that up. You hit join. It'll take you to where you need to go. And anything you can contribute, very much appreciated, folks. Very, very much appreciated. I'd like to thank John Maffei for joining us today. He does that every Friday at 9:30. And Jonathan Oliveri doing a marvelous job, as always, as our producer engineer. And we're going to get Jonathan on here real soon and kind of get a feel for the Aztecs. Maybe we'll do a little recap on Monday with Jonathan. And hopefully we're recapping a victory. And I'll share my story about going to the Coliseum to see the Trojans play host to Georgia Southern. But everyone, enjoy Friday night. Enjoy college football. Enjoy pro football. And enjoy Major League Baseball. This is a great time of year to follow Major League Baseball. Every game does count. Until Monday morning, 9 a.m., Coach John Kentera, have a fun and safe weekend. Talk to you Monday, everyone. Bye-bye.